It's the first day on the job for Officer Cat Bitzen. Fresh from the Polizei Academy, she's been partnered with Officer Gaz Mannen, a 10-year veteran with the German Police Department, aka the Polizei. Officer Mannen is, however, wary of taking a new rookie partner on under his wing, as he has a fairly colorful past, and all of his previous partners have either ended up dead, pregnant, or getting promoted ahead of him. Officer Mannen checks Officer Bitzen and remembers the basics she learned in Polizei Academy, before telling her to forget it all, because that Scheiße will get you killed on these mean German Straßen. Officer Mannen then decides to give Officer Cat Bitzen a challenge. Bust the next guy she sees. Officer Bitzen spots a guy and makes her move. Closing in and scanning him with her crapberry, she finds that luckily for the guy, he's a wanted felon. But before she can do anything, the guy decides he has a better idea. He decides he thinks he can take the asshole's way out and tries to make a run for it. But he might as well be running in the direction of jail, as that's where he's going. With her first arrest in cuffs, Officer Bitzen calls this asshole a cab to jail. But don't worry, folks, he won't have to pay the fare. The taxpayer will. After that warm-up, Officer Gaz Mannen decides it's time for a real education on these unforgiving Teutonic streets. By driving through a red light, Officer Gaz Mannen reminds us of one of the best parts of being a cop, as any Polizei will tell you, being able to pick and choose the laws when they apply, particularly when it comes to driving, drugs, theft, and violence. But those same cops will probably tell you that it also has a downside: the boredom, the routine, driving around for literally minutes at a time, looking for any excuse to kick someone's ass. Turning a corner, Officer Mannen spots one of his pet peeves. Some rich asshole has parked his solid gold fucking car across the fucking sidewalk, causing an obstruction. Officer Mannen launches into a tirade of how the rich really don't give a shit about the working man and think they're above the law. And meanwhile, Officer Bitzen's training kicks in, and she calls for a tow. Within seconds, one of the German police department's many busy tow trucks is on the scene. It even comes equipped with its own long arm of the law, which in this case will be used to take this gaudy-looking auto to car jail. Hopefully the scratches and dents it picks up will serve as a semi-permanent reminder to the owner not to park like a dick. Sometimes in the life of a cop, instead of going looking for trouble, trouble comes looking for you. An alert has come in pertaining to drug dealer activity, Time to make a move. However, something has just caught the attention of Officer Cat Bitzen. Observing from a safe distance, Officer Bitzen sees someone walking funny and decides it's worth further investigation. Officer Bitzen was right to be suspicious. This perp is confused. So confused, she thinks she can run from the law. Officer Bitzen quickly apprehends the muddled miscreant. I guess where she's going, she's gonna have plenty of time to work things out. Maybe next time she'll think twice before being confused or walking erratically with intent in the streets. Officers Mannen and Bitzen finally track down the location of these drug dealers, only to find that they decided to take all their own drugs and are so high that they're taking out their frustrations on a work of modern art. Officer Mannen takes the lead and moves in, making 2 arrests. The third guy, however, decides he isn't a complete pussy and decides to fight back. Perhaps he's mistaken Officer Mannen for some kind of beat cop. Officer Mannen corrects him. He's a beat-down cop. Seemingly defeating the purpose of kicking the perp's ass, Officer Mannen calls an ambulance, and for the other 2, books them 2 first-class tickets on the Asshole Express to jail. One thing that can't be taught in the academy is what some of the weirder cops call their 9th sense when it comes to detecting crime. And right now, Officer Bitzen's 9th sense is flashing and buzzing. Could it be the box? Or could it be that this guy is yet another wanted criminal? This asshole decides he's not going to go down without a fight. Officer Gaz Mannen moves to a safe distance to observe, to see how Officer Bitzen handles herself. Officer Bitzen wastes no time in deploying the pepper spray and applying the cuffs to this now lightly seasoned, incapacitated asshole. She then calls for a delivery. One spicy asshole to jail. Officer Mannen is impressed with the way she handles herself and offers praise, but Officer Bitzen is not happy. She's in a huff and decides to give Officer Mannen the silent treatment as she heads back to the car. In an effort to lighten the mood and cheer Officer Bitzen up, Officer Mannen switches on the sirens. It doesn't work. It's raining again, but while the rain will eventually stop, there's one thing that will never stop, and that's crime. A dangerous armed criminal has decided that today's the day to make a really poor life choice and declare war on the Polizei.
Traffic accident. Destination. Autostrasse. Check the situation at the scene and take necessary action.
Officer Cat Bitzen valiantly shrugs off being shot before pepper spraying this wannabe cop killer. Officer Bitzen must live up to her first name. She must truly have 9 lives. Showing extraordinary professionalism, Cat Bitzen places him under arrest rather than shooting him in the fucking head. She thinks that a more fitting punishment will be meted out, for him to spend the rest of his life behind bars, in jail. Not one to make a big thing of how her life and career almost came to an end on day one, Officer Cat Bitzen, high on adrenaline, decides to get back to work. It's getting near to the end of what has been, for the average Polizei, a fairly slow day. Officer Bitzen and Mannen have been called to the scene of a road traffic accident. Officer Bitzen is suspicious of the alleged victim, who appears to be feigning injury and keeps looking up to see if anybody's looking at him. But she's also suspicious of the slaphead idling nearby. Erring on the side of caution, she sticks Q-ball in cuffs and calls an ambulance to take the guy to hospital for an x-ray to find out conclusively if he's all broke up or just full of shit. Relieved that help arrived before she had to draw a chalk outline around the guy, Officer Bitzen begins to investigate the scene. It appears that the car may have been involved in an accident. Unsure if it means right now or some other time, Officer Bitzen decides that the best course of action is to have the car bagged as evidence and looked at more thoroughly by forensic mechanics. As the watch ends, Officer Gaz Mannen commends Officer Bitzen for her skills and looks forward to having her as his partner, until she ends up dead, pregnant, or promoted ahead of him.